Okay, so can we start?
Yes, please. Yes.
All right. So once again, a very, very good evening to every one of you. So respected members of the panel, eminent guests, and all my fellow ISTDians, a very warm welcome to all of you. Pune chapter of ISTD is celebrating its 50th year. So along with the umpteen activities conducted and planned for the Golden Jubilee celebrations, the managing committee thought of organizing this webinar as a part of a series on a topic that is very, very critical and pertinent. We're very pleased to collaborate with ISTD Delhi chapter for this webinar on good governance in professional associations, issues and concerns at the national, regional, and international level. So whenever there is a conversation about governance, usually one of the first questions that is asked is, what does the word governance actually mean? And if you Google the word corporate governance, there are 9.8 million references to these words. And therefore, we really need to really think about it. So the concept of good governance is very old, like the human civilization. We have found the concepts in ancient Indian writings like Mahabharata, or Kautilya's Arthashastra, or Shukracharya's Niti Sar, and so on. Ancient Indian rulers were obligated by the precepts of dharma, which was very closely related to good governance. Good governance was also talked about by many Western scholars like Plato, Aristotle, Thomas Hobbes, etc. So the Cambridge Dictionary refers to it as the way the organizations or countries are managed at the highest levels and the systems for doing it. So among other things, it is participatory, transparent, accountable, effective, and equitable. Today, we have put together a very, very eminent, senior, and expert panel to talk on this vital topic. So these eminent guest speakers today are already at the highest levels and have set systems for their own organizations and for their own institutions which they belong to. And we would love to hear from them. So we have with us our own President Emeritus of ISTD, Dr. Vinayshil Gautam. We have Madam Ho Chu from Singapore, Mr. Phuc Chi from Singapore, Mr. Janaka Kumar Singhe from Sri Lanka. The session will be moderated by our Dr. Upadhyay, who incidentally is the man behind the show. So I sincerely appreciate and thank Dr. Upadhyay for organizing this webinar. And so without further ado, let us begin. I invite Madam Sucharita to introduce the first three panelists on the webinar.
Good evening to all. Very good evening. And Madam Ho Gok Chu, Madam is CEO Human Capital Singapore. She's former member of the Singapore Parliament. She's former President Asia Pacific Federation of HRM, and she did her master's from the National University of Singapore in Human Recourse and Services. She's former President, Singapore Human Resources Institute, SHRI. She's former Secretary General, World Federation of Personnel Management Associations. Ms. Ho Gok Chu has more than 30 years of working experience in both the public and private sectors. SSIR, CIAS, SIA Engineering Company, Minolta, and the United Overseas Bank Group. Her current appointments include Chair, Board of Trustees, National Cancer Center, Singapore, Member of Singh Health Fund, Adjunct Professor, SUSS, and Member of Raffles Institution Establishment Committee, Independent Director, SR Holdings. We welcome you, Madam. And Dr. Vinayshil Gautam, an institution builder, Founder Director of IIM, President Emeritus, Indian Society for Training and Development, Chairman Advisory Board, ISTD, Board of Member Designate, International Federation of Training and Development Organization, with many national and international fellowships and awards. He is a globally acclaimed thinker, consultant, and author. He was visitor to the University of Cambridge, Brunel, Manchester, Hull, London, UK, Minnesota, Duke, Penn State, Dominican, USA, Institution of Developing Economies, Tokyo, New York, Toronto, Canada, LA, and Central University, Venezuela, China, campuses of Victoria University, Switzerland. He has been a consultant to the initiatives such as of IITZ, IIMS, SMVDU, National Aviation Academy, chairman and member of various policy and planning committees to the Government of India. He has had close associations with UGC, AICT, and NBA. We welcome you, sir. Next. Mr. Yong Fook Shai, founding partner of GNV, Green Environment Holdings Pte. Limited, which is a socially responsible enterprise involved in environment solutions. GenV Holdings Pte. Limited has a balanced portfolio of subsidiaries providing one-stop environment solutions to contribute to Singapore being an exceptional city for life, work, and play. Experienced practitioner and team champion led in human resources, corporate communications, corporate admin, procurement, and project management. He is former senior director at Singapore Tote Board. He did his master's from National University of Singapore. Seasoned practitioner in leading professional human resource and corporate services teams to drive and implement organization transformation and change in support of public sector transformation. We welcome you, sir. Janaka Kumar.
I now invite Pune chapter secretary, Brij Mohan sir, to introduce the next two panelists.
Hello everyone, good evening to all. Now I would like to introduce Mr. Janaka Kumar Singhe, FCIPM. He's been Chief Operating Officer of 1 Billion Technology, Director of Kent Ridge Private Limited. He is also Non-Executive Director of Wallybell Finance PLC. He is a graduate from the University of Colombo, possesses a master's degree from the National University of Singapore. Sir has captained combined universities basketball team, and he is author of the unique cartoon book Everyone Knows HR. He currently presides ROCOHA, Royal College Old Hostlers Association, a fellow of the Chartered Institute of Personal Management CIPM, Sri Lanka. He has been awarded the CIPM Gold Medal in 2008. He is a past president of CIPM Sri Lanka and Asia Pacific Federation of HRM. So we welcome you, sir. Now I would like to introduce our own Dr. Yogesh Kumar Upadhyay, sir. He has been President, Federation of International Trainers and Speaker. He is a fellow and past national president for 2 consecutive terms for Indian Society for Training and Development. He is also fellow of Insurance Institute of India and international fellow for Bangladesh Organization of Learning and Development, BOLD. More than 3 decades of experience in HR, IR, legal affairs. Sir has been a speaker, trainer, and influencer at various national and international forums. He is a doctorate in organizational management with post-graduation in business administration, HRM, IR, economics, and he is also a law graduate and postgraduate. Presently, sir is heading his own training and consultancy company, and sir will be moderating today's discussion of today's webinar. So we welcome you, Yogesh sir.
Thank you, Mr. Raji. Thank you so much. You told our own, and I treat Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. All people are ours. Today, so whole world is our family.
Yes, sir. You are right.
Thank you, Mr. Raji.
Most welcome, sir.
See, as this is the 4th series in the 4th webinar in the series. We have conducted three webinars before this. And we have international personalities in those also. Professor Ajanta, who is also past president of CIPM Sri Lanka, Mr. Musharraf Hussain, the president of Bangladesh Federation of HR Federations, they also spoke. But that time reference was local, what they are doing in their respective countries, like Sri Lanka. We never touched international this thing. When I was discussing with Professor Gautam, he in his own style, which I call Vinayashil way, which I turned very convincing way, he suggested let's have the discussion in this session on the issues and concern with a local, regional, and international level. Things are changing and changing at a very fast pace, at the tsunami speed. And since we live in the global village, the development elsewhere impact us also. Therefore, we thought of this wonderful panel. And you know, happened when we were conducting previous also, there was a, can governance be thought without female? So we thought not, if we can't give 50% representation, let us start with 20%. So immediately name of Madam Ho came in my mind and I invited her. She was pleased to give her consent without any hitch. And so is Mr. Janaka, Mr. Pukchai, they have agreed. See now, concern at local, regional, and international level. All the learned panelists, you have heard their profile, have vast and varied experience leading professional bodies, not only national level, regional level, but international level also. To take anybody. So my question to you, and I starting with, because ladies first, I will not deviate from the rule, and then maybe Vinayashil Gautam sir, followed by Mr. Pukchai, and maybe then Janaka ji. My question, first question is, according to you, what should be the effective model of governance for such professional body? And you know, Madam Ho also has been the lawmaker in Singapore. So start, Madam, I request you to start, give your insights on the question. Thank you. Unmute yourself.
Thank you very much, Dr. Yogesh, and a very good evening to all the distinguished speakers and delegates out there. Well, I'm going to take a very non-academic approach to kickstart this conversation. I want to draw on my experience that I have had in the public, private, and people sector. I think I have had the opportunities to serve various boards in these three sectors. And one common thread that I have found with regards to the subject matter of good governance is it has got to do with the caliber of the leadership that
actually, ma'am, I think there is something wrong with your video, or I am not able to see.
You can't see me?
No.
Oh.
Yes.
Yes. Is that better now? Sorry about that.
Better.
So I was saying that I want to draw on my practical experience in the public, people, and private sector. I have had experience serving in these three sectors in various organizations and capacity. So if you look at the public sector, whether it is the public sector of the private or people sector, a common thread with regards to good governance is really about the people. And the people here, we are talking about the leadership as well as members making up the governing council, and also the fraternity, which means what the people whom this council will be serving. Now, why I bring up the people factor is because there has got to be an understanding of the mission of what the institution stands for. And that someone must take the responsibility to ensure that it is a comprehensive document that everybody across the institution will understand. And that's where the challenges will begin. Because while we may understand what the mandate is about with regards to accountability, ownership, responsibility, there must be a way whereby we have to ensure that there's a check and balance. There is this regular, in a way, self-audit. Individual members, individual office holders have got to take that responsibility to ensure that they comply with the terms and conditions of the mandate. At the same time, I think it is also important for check and balance to make sure that there are auxiliary committees that will be there to be watching and to be ensuring that no one goes out of line. So I want to just begin with this very general observation that I've seen across the sectors, be it in the public, which is normally the government sector, or private sector, or people sector, which is really the organizations in the social enterprise arena, or it could be also the professional organizations.
Thank you, ma'am. Actually, you have covered all aspects in a simple 2 sentence, only simple. You have covered maximum aspect of governance. So I'll request Dr. Vinayshil Gautamji.
Thank you, Dr. Upadhyay. My compliments also to Mukesh Jain, Chairman of the ISTD Delhi chapter, for this very innovative attempt to get 2 local chapters to do an international event. So you are already living the topic, which is local, regional, and global. I believe the proof of the pudding is in the eating. If you can't practice what you talk about, then there is something incoherent about what you try to do. I have 3 observations to make my position communicable to the people who are attending this conference, webinar, call it what you will. The first is a need to recognize that the first written reference to governance in any text in anywhere in the world is in Kautilya's Arthashastra, which goes back to at least 3th century BC, where he says, Matsya Nyaya Vibhuta Prajanam Manum Rajam Prachakrire. Under the law of the fishes, the ruled declared Manu to be their king. And that was the beginning of the civil society and the beginning of governance. So governance may not be as old as the rivers, but governance is certainly as old as civil society. My second submission is that governance is supposed to ensure harmony, reason, and action. And this civil society, therefore, it manifests itself in various forms. In fact, I might mention in passing, this is my week in company of governance. It is beginning with local associations and ends up by doing something for the government of India, where I'm supposed to contribute to a country paper on good governance in higher education institutions, which is supposed to be submitted to a UNESCO conference. So I've been looking at this issue of governance, and the conclusion which I have come to is that there is no space for dissonance and impertinence when it comes to governance, because governance is supposed to ensure harmony, reason, action. Otherwise, if it is to be a free-for-all, you don't need governance models at all. I'd like to stop there because we have a very structured program to look at the role of elected, selected office bearers, collaborations, professional ethics, and Dr. Upadhyay will be leading that. I would like to merely conclude by saying, to see a connectivity across the sessions, we must realize that good governance following the scalar principle is applicable at the local level, regional level, and the global level. We'll have occasion to explore this as we go along. That's what I would need to say for now. I'll pick it up the logic in my subsequent observations as and when called upon by the chair. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. So, Mr. Janakaji, Mr. Phokchai.
Hi, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Yogesh. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I must congratulate ISTD for organizing this very timely seminar and for all of us as a community to share knowledge and to learn from each other. I suppose in response to Dr. Yogesh's question, I would want to just share the importance of leadership in corporate governance. And what do we mean by corporate governance, right? Three big elements: integrity, transparency, and accountability, right? And therefore, you think about leaders of associations or professional bodies, you play a very important role in setting the tone and build and deepen the culture of corporate governance. And what does it really mean to you as leaders? You set standards way above what is written in the constitution for members so that you can therefore enforce the corporate governance onto members, right? With regard to really the issue about whether leaders should be selected or should be elected, I would say
that is next.
Oh, that will come later.
Yeah.
Okay. So to me, that the leaders plays a very important role, right? In terms of the ability to lead the professional bodies, and therefore corporate governance plays that pillar. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You have said it, because leader is the prime mover and others follow him. Now, today in India, we are running 4-kilometer long on a powerful engine because organization get power from the leader. I'll request Mr. Janaka Kumar Singhe, who has vast experience of heading CIPM and also at AFAM. So, Mr. Janaka, please.
Thank you, Dr. Upadhyay.
He is also very well known in India. If he contests election in ISTD, he can win any post.
Thank you, Dr. Upadhyay. Maybe what I'll do is I'll share part of my experience as the president of CIPM, Chartered Institute of Personnel Management, because I was lucky enough to be the youngest president at one time. So what from the governance perspective now, what I used was creating the vision, mission, and the culture we set up. In a way, it's a control system because you had all the other regulatory framework, you have the constitution, but we use the vision, mission as a control mechanism. How? When I took over, all the members, we created a strategic plan with a vision. Our vision was a bit of ambitious to be the leading professional body in Southeast Asia, of course, within reach. And we planned efficient secretariat. We branded our institution. Now this has become Chartered Institute. Then we created financial governance, the structure, and also the regional expansion to international expansion. We created example exchange program with India. Thanks to Sri Partha Chatterjee, we created exchange program with India, which is continuing. A lot of Indian gentlemen our ladies come to our conference. So we also created to increase the membership and also introduce a CPD system, continuous professional development system. And we created a large conference, which is seen as the largest HR event in South Asia. And we also to drive the HR landscape, we started HR service providers exhibition and started a gold medal and rewarding system. So through all these things, we were able to drive our members to a higher level because our role was to take our profession forward and empower our members. And by today, we are happy to say now, even this year, the World Conference, the World Federation has granted permission to hold the World HR Congress in Sri Lanka. And we were able to become the Asia Pacific president, the first country from the Indian subcontinent. And also now currently we have become the second time also we have become. So what I want to say is we use this strategic planning, creating a vision and driving people to achieve that and achieve a lot of standards. Of course, now we have around 1 billion assets. Our turnover is around 1 billion for a year rupees. Likewise, and we have the largest conference and we are recognized by the Organization for Professional Associations in Sri Lanka. Likewise, we have made progress. So what I want to show is the role of creating a vision mission linked will also help in governing and taking your profession forward.
Thank you, Mr. So take away that these are the people, the systems, procedures, and also structure. That is now because people are important. They should also have they should also possess some sort of competency. So for that, I have a poll, and that the decision of the public will be there. So I request Alok ji to launch the first poll on competencies of leadership. Yes, you can poll. We will have only 60 seconds. I don't think panelists will be able to poll. Panelists will not be, but others please vote. You can select. The list is not exhaustive. This is just because Zoom also has limitation on.
Come on, please. It's a very, very important poll. You will enjoy the results.
$15 minutes, 15 more seconds, and we'll stop. Only 22% are participating. I think professional passion is still leading, then influence, support, motivation from the mentors, desire to make contribution. I think it is not so. Anyway, so these are the things, this is from the audience. So I think professional passion. So rightly said, to lead a professional body, you should have professional passion. Maybe we'll share result online also, this is. Now taking forward, you can stop Alok ji. Thank you. And now we have seen, see earlier webinar, we have representation from Institute of Company Secretaries of India, which is the regulatory body on governance. We have President of Indian Institute of Engineers. We have Institute of Chartered Accountant of India. And then moderator were from academics, Institute of Corporate Affairs. Very rich takeaways were there. So now we talk about leadership, we talk about system, procedure, and also structure. But bodies, the association, they do not stand alone. They do not stand in isolation. And for professional growth and growth of the institution, we need to have collaborative approach. Rightly said, Dr. Vinayashil Gautamji, we 2 chapters collaborated and invited whole ISTD people. And this being the very specific for leadership, People have participated. Many past presidents are there, even though from other bodies in the audience. See, one more panel also composing people from academic, people from corporate. It is said that excellent research lead to excellent practices, and excellent practices lead to excellent research. Keeping this in view, my question to the panelist is how this professional body can grow, and need of collaboration, how the need of collaboration with academia and corporate world will bridge this gap of underdevelopment on conceptual framework and also in practice. So your view, how we can make this collaboration very effective and fruitful. Some modes of collaboration at local, regional, and international. So maybe we can start with Vinayshil sir, first taking Vinayshil ji first, then maybe Mr. Phukchai and Jankaji, followed by Madam.
Thank you, Chair, for inviting me to share some thoughts on collaboration. As many of us know, we are of the belief in India that there are 4 yugas, 4 stages through which human civilization has passed. Satya Yuga, Dwapar Yuga, Treta, and Kali Yuga. I don't have the time space to elaborate the defining characteristics of each one of them, but the defining characteristic of Kali Yuga, that is the present era that we live in, has been defined in many ways. One of them is Sanghe Shakti. If you want power and influence, you have to unite. That is the definition of Kali Yuga, the era in which we live in. Now, the Marxist will define it in his own way. Singaporean will have his own definition, and I know the Singaporean government will have its own views on what working together means. In India, we have our own definition, and each region has its own definition. But obviously, the ability to work with each other is a common factor in various definitions of Sanghe Shakti. The business of having a model of collaboration in the form of a society at a regional level, a voluntary association, is a central defining characteristic of human beings working together, where you know that the Greek thought of man is a gregarious animal comes into life. You can't be alone. And I'm reminded of a story by Chekhov where 2 people took a bet as to who could survive alone. And I don't have the time to narrate the story, but gregariousness and working together is central to human life. And I think that is where professional associations come in. It is the only natural combination. If you have 3 people in a family, there are at least 2 associations, because 2 people get along better with each other than the third one. Those of us who have children, more than 2, and husband and wife, know how the allocation of association takes place in a light-hearted sort of way. We don't have to take these references very seriously. Therefore, to sum up, association is a normal instinct. When you formalize them, societies come into existence, associations come into existence in a normal way, and that is how you survive in this era of Kali Yuga. That's where I would like to stop for now. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, so much, sir. Now, Mr. Phukchai.
Hey, yeah, I totally agree with Prof on what he has said. And really in the area of collaborations for professional bodies, I think there's actually lots of benefits. If you think about collaboration across domains, across sectors, and this is really to brand and to position the professional body or the professional association for the long run. So I'll give you an example. Take the example of a HR professional association, for example. Where are the collaborations that will be beneficial to the association and to the members? First thing of the government, right? The HR professional body should support the national HR policies of the government. But more importantly, if the HR association is credible, it should positively influence those HR policies, right? And that becomes a national platform and context. Then secondly, you think about the HR professional body should really work with academia and universities to balance and to combine what I would term as practical groundwork with science and research by the universities. And there you are going to be in the leading curve and leading thoughts of HR in specific fields, right? And thirdly, you probably see the HR professional body collaborating with trade or industry associations, right? In terms of helping the industry and trade associations and the industry to transform, to digitize, to be innovative and to be creative. So if you think about collaborations at all levels, across different sectors and different domains, it will benefit both the members and the professional body for the long run. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Can I request Janka sir? Please share your.
Thank you, Dr. Upadhyaya. To a lot of problems in the world, the solutions will come from multidisciplinary approaches, because from one profession or single profession, you can't solve complex problem. Also, having said that, we should be mindful. If you want to think about the recognition for a profession or a professional body, actually, it's not that we who should say we are the best body with this thing. Others should recognize as a leading body or a contributing body or a contributing profession. So we should aspire to get the recognition of other professions. So how should we do this? That's the challenge we have. Because if you work only within the profession, you can't do that. Maybe some little examples we have done in Sri Lanka is, now when we didn't have a HR award system, we collaborated with a leading postgraduate institute of management, a part of a university, and another HR body, a small body, but we shed our egos and we collaborated with them and launched the HR award scheme. At the same time, we have created our own professional study program. We have signed MOU with local universities. And also at one time when we didn't have some recognition, we created an accreditation scheme called Asia Pacific Federation Accreditation Model. And in fact, I proposed that model and I got endorsement for our own program, the Asia Pacific. Actually, it was a good marketing effort also for us because our program is accredited by Asia Pacific Federation. And at the same time, now recently, our members have signed a MOU with CIPD UK, Chartered Institute of Personal Development, because you collaborate with them. Then you also learn from each other and share certain things. So this way we can collaborate. At the same time, as I mentioned, we have signed a MOU with NIPM India. And every year there is an exchange program taking place since 2004. Of course, there was a small break, but parties come here and we go there. And through that exchange relationship, we also grow. So the last thing I want to say is also one of our presidents started something called People Leaders Award for other professions. Actually, it was a fantastic idea where among the, say, chartered accountants, they select the best people leader. Among the engineers, they select the best people leader. And we award. Actually, that was a fantastic idea. And of course, due to some reasons, it stopped after a few years. But I would say that was a good mode to get the recognition to the HR professional, if I talk of HR, from other professionals or to be known to the other professionals. So I think if you want to get recognition, you need to collaborate and you should get the recognition from others. Thank you, Dr. Upadhyaya.
Thank you so much. Wonderful insights. See, ISTD is affiliated to IFTDO, International Federation of Training and Development Organizations. And when I was president, we have executed one project, the HRD perception in Asia, Africa, and Europe. and one lady from Coventry, because IFTDO paid to Coventry University, lady from Coventry University, I was there, and we visited India, UK, and Nigeria. Because Nigeria we could not go because of the disturbance, but that was a wonder, and we all are doing. Tomorrow, ISTD Pune chapter is signing one MOU, we all are doing. But how effective these are, that is the question. So my next poll is coming on that. So I request Alok ji to launch the poll. And please participate in the poll. Poll is for you, your voice will be recorded. See, this poll and our deliberation will be printed in a book. Because we have 3 years. Go ahead and poll. We cannot devote much time, but collaborate with academia for research, collaborate with similar professional body, collaborate with global professional body, collaborate with regional professional body, undertake research for growth of profession, collaborate with government, collaborate with regulatory bodies.
Vadhya sir, give some more time because it's a very lengthy poll.
No problem. We'll give time. Apile, you are director poll.
But I can't poll.
No, you can't. But in the meantime, I will, people are polling. I will take next question. Maybe we have time. Yes, again, I don't think it is going, now this thing cross 20 seconds, 25, very nice. Because these are the recommendations, really forwarding, really compiling all the recommendation of the all this thing. We are not going to leave. It is not because what Dr. Vinay Seal got, lot of hot air is created. But this time we will see that you get a video of all the 4, 5, 6 it is, and also compilation 1. So how much time you want, Jan sir?
2 minutes. Another 20 seconds.
Okay, aap karte rahiye. So maybe I will take third question.
So only 32% participants have voted till now. Come on, please, come on. Thank you.
So now let me read. Collaborate with global professional body. And so we are doing. We are like NIPM is affiliated to Affirm and Global HRD Forum. ISTD to FTDO and ARTDO. So is the NHRD and all. But conducting research and involving academia, research on the importance of national importance, maybe importance for the professional and profession and professionals. So coming to last question of the webinar. See, for survival and global acceptance, professional body need to establish and put into practice the code of ethics, standard of practice. Because in first question, people have said we should have MOA, but we should also practice. It is to be known, like rightly Madam Ho said, it should be known to all the members. For governance of nation or state, we have 3 organs: legislative, executive, and judiciary. But in professional body, we have only first 2. I always feel the need for the third one, that is the judiciary, and there was one point brought out that we should have a committee who sees the non-compliance and take actions. So we should have mechanisms to detect non-compliance and taking action. Without that interpretation, it becomes very subjective. We have advisory board in ISTD for that purpose. And there is a need for self-regulation, self-control to become, which becomes paramount. Now, my question to all learner panelists is, according to you, how important are these aspects in governance of such body? Please share your experience with few live examples where you have seen either the compliance or non-compliance and what actions has been taken. So maybe we can take Jankaji. You can start.
I think for a professional body, it's a very important area that the ethics and the code of conduct. I think anybody should have a code of conduct for his members, of course, and you should get the binding of the code of conduct. That's very important. Maybe at the time of enrolling members, maybe you should get the binding, either signing or taking an oath or something. So it goes in their mind. So it's very important. Maybe one of our past presidents, Mr. Jayanta Jayaratne, maybe listener to this webinar, he was very keen to have a code of conduct for our institute. At the same time, a lot of conflict of interest takes place. Now, I am a risk management committee chairman for a leading finance company in Sri Lanka. So we see in the corporate governance, you have these risk management, audit, and related party transaction committees. So maybe not the same name, but our even professional bodies can have limited people or to look into this related party transactions, maybe the conflict of interests, and advice. Even at IPM, there is another body called College of Past Presidents. Sometimes when certain matters cannot be resolved among the members, they refer the matter to the College of Past Presidents for their advice. So there should be checks and balances even when it comes to code of conduct. And say there are certain systems apart from disciplinary procedure and all also there should be. Because what happened is today the best system is maybe the democracy where the majority wins. But what has happened is today the world has learned how to manipulate democracy. So it's not the majority view, it's the camp, whose camp view is this. So then comes the problem, because your camp in power who does something, they will try to cover, others are. So that's where it's very important, where professional bodies should have some sort of mechanism to govern the code of conduct and ethics. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'll call Madam Ho for this purpose. Mr. Janaka, who is also a good friend of yours, he said College of Past President. We have advisory board. But how this cannot be a police station? Everybody walking to the advisory board and conduct. Can we function like? How can we give teeth to such forum, such a body, and like professional body? It is a voluntary organization. For code of ethics, minimum compliance. You had been a lawmaker, a member of parliament. What is your say on the subject?
Thank you. It's an interesting question, but I think I would just not be confined to the fact that there is a set of rules, a set of standards with regards to what we should do or we should not do. But the most fundamental question really is, how do we present a case where we allow people who are governed by the standards, the code of standards, feel that they are actually the ones who have come up with this code of standard. I think that's very important. In other words, the buy-in of people governed by these standards. In Singapore, and I think that's why we do it pretty well in our professional bodies, our institutions. We believe in this big conversation. If you look at the Singapore government, before they actually put anything into law, they will make sure that we carry out a lot of conversations with the citizens. They feel that they have a part to play with regards to their ideas, their suggestions. And then it is from these conversations, the participation from the citizens, that help the government to then evolve the policy and finally make it into law. Now, so I want to share this whole concept of communities of practice. Now, I think many of you might have heard of communities of practice. And in Singapore, actually the first person who started this concept was none other than our founding Prime Minister, Lee Kuan Yew. If you read his memoir, you will come across a paragraph where he said that whenever he came across a problem or an issue, now I ask you this question: when you come across a problem issue, what do you do? some of us would go consult a consultant or look for a professor or look into some literature to find the solutions. But Lee Kuan Yew said that whenever he came across a problem, he would speak to people around him. And that is how he would actually get the perspectives of people around him. It could be his subordinates, it could be his peers or his contemporary colleagues. And they will talk about the issues. And from the discussion and conversation, that's how he gets his ideas. Now, some of you probably will recall that he was one of the first to have mooted the idea internationally for the Interaction Committee. The Interaction Committee actually is a committee made up of all the presiding leaders of countries. And I think because of his conviction that conversations are so critical and so important for the buy-in eventually, that he started the Interaction Committee internationally. And in Singapore today, we continue to follow this approach of setting standards, coming out with the rules and regulations. We might not have been able to convince everybody to support, accept, but I think by involving others in the making of law, we have won the majority to buy in.
Thank you, madam. You have a wonderful example of your Prime Minister reaching to the people. That is the message for the leadership. In democracy, the government of people, by the people, for the people. So people are in the core. People are in the core, and same is in the professional body. Now, my question to Mr. Phukchai, you had been in administrative services, regulator, and all. How important is the statutory and regulatory compliance for the professional body? I see they don't file returns with the Registrar of Society or whatever they are for years together. So what you suggest? Yes.
Thank you for the question. Well, I would say that, when all these statutory requirements are put up, if you think about it, it's for the good of the associations, right? And you are basically trying to standardize the practice and make sure that everybody follows it. Question, of course, is that when associations do not do it, what do you do with it? Do you take a sledgehammer and hammer the person who don't comply? Or do you go on to a more persuasive method of doing it? My experience has been, in the regulatory realm, you would have to have the rules, you would have to have the regulations, but you also need to have some flexibility in terms of understanding and appreciating the difficulties and limitations of some associations. Some associations do not have the skill and the resources to do the job, for example. So I think you just have to be a little bit more flexible, agile in this case.
Thank you so much. Now, not the last but very heavyweight champion. A question to Dr. Vinayasheel Gautam, who has been recently elected as the chairman of advisory board, so-called we recommend. Sir, what is your say? I think you can have concluding remark of this session.
It's a difficult task because Mam Gik Chu talked of Lee Kuan Yew, who in my reckoning is the ultimate example of how a founding figure can set ethical practices in institution building. And it is my aspiration that someday his experience may be read and reread in many senior school classrooms so that understand that it can be done even at a de novo stage of nation building. It becomes more important when institutions grow older, whether they are professional or national or regional is not the point. But to put it all briefly, I think integrity and consistency is a personal point of view. You can't expect the society, the professional body, or anyone else to have integrity when you don't practice it yourself. And the amazing thing about life is We all know the integrity of everyone else that we deal with. When we deny it, it is with a purpose. When we sing hallelujahs to you, to that integrity, that is also with a purpose, because we hope that there will be a payback of that hallelujah. The truth is, deep within us, there is a conscience which helps us to know what exactly is the integrity of each one that we are dealing with. And that is the beauty of ethics. It's a part and parcel of our personality. Whether it is professional bodies at a local level, regional level, or a global level, whether it is in audit, accounts, anthropology, history, training, you name it. It is a collection of people who have voluntarily got together, who will never be able to hold unless they practice a basic honesty to each other. That's how simple it is. For that, you don't need a rule book. You merely have to look at the mirror, stare yourself in your eye, and ask yourself, how good is your integrity? And remember, the mirror never lies.
Thank you so much, sir. Mirror never lies. So we have to look at the mirror, which will tell us. So it is for leaders to have introspection, what they are rightly said. Now, because we have to have Vox Populi, so taking the pulse of audience, can I request Alok ji to launch third and last poll? I'll read the question. Regulatory compliance on legal and regulatory requirements, establishment, maintenance, implementation of code of conduct, oath and affirmation by elected or selected officials, conflict of interest, transparency in business, disclosure of relevant information on website, integrity, including financial one, what all panelists have highlighted. I think transparency is in race with compliance of legal requirement. So I think transparency and compliance of legal and regulatory requirement. And legal requirement is also conducting conducting election on time and fair elections. So these are also very wonderful discussion. I had been seeing the chat, and there are two participants. One is Dr. Sunil Abrola, past president, and Ms. Archana Pingle from Pune chapter. Can I request Alok ji to unmute Dr. Sunil Abrol, and Abrol sahab, you just highlight takeaways. You can highlight 2 points because I am seeing the chat. Very active audience and also past president of ISTD. Sunil sir, can you raise your hand so that Alok can identify you? By that time, I will request Ms. Simantini Bhausa, if she, we have also question and answer session. So if there are questions, because I don't see it, only one question from Yashwant.
So Dr. Fateh has raised his hand.
We'll take him also. I have seen. I was requesting Dr. Sunil Abrol. Is he there in the meeting? Because I have seen his chat. And Archana Pingle.
Archana Pingle has left the meeting.
Okay, so no problem. Now, yes, you can unmute Dr. Fateh. Dr. Fateh.
Yeah, good evening all. Am I audible, sir?
Yes, please.
Yeah. Sir, listening to all this thing, two things are coming in my mind.
Yes,
One
please.
is the leadership, role of a leadership. You know,
Yes.
it is always a role modeling, you know, irrespective of how many code of conducts and code of ethics and the governing infrastructure you build and you post it on your website, you have it written in your MOA and everything. It is all the reflection of a behavior of the few people who are there who are in a governing council. So that is what is the very much important, because people down the line are observing them, how they behave, how the way they carry the whole functionality of the organization and all that. If this is taken care, then most probably this will get automatically implemented, and that will set for a kind of role modeling for the coming generation. So this is what I wanted to contribute, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Fateh साहब. एक गाना मेरे को याद आ रहा है, जितनी चाबी भरी राम ने उतना
सर उसमें और एक चीज सर मुझे इसमें भी लगी कि जो मैम ने कहा था कि about Singapore and
English,
all that.
if you can tell in English, because we have international.
Yes. So what the lady over there from the Singapore has narrated, the way their prime minister has conducted whenever there is a problem. As you said, jitni chabi bhari Ram ne, no? So I was thinking about the same thing also when the Lord Ram, he used to take consensus of his people around, and then depending on that, how the Ram Rajya was built. So taking a feedback from the stakeholder is a true mechanism how we are basing our decisions from the data we collect from the stakeholder. That is also one.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Saab. Now, there's only one question which Yashwant has said, and what key initiative can professional body take to generate enthusiasm among members and enable people at large to engage with the body and contribute positive, furthering its purpose? Gautam sir, would you like to throw some light on this?
I think it's not a complicated question. If you want the professional bodies to generate enthusiasm, encourage, as was indicated by Mr. Phukchai, a simple approach of integrity, transparency, and he talked of 3 elements there. It shows when you do it. Janka himself made some comparisons across societies, very useful. To put it all simply, going back to the Napoleonic dictum, if you create a professional body where career is open to talent and a few people don't manipulate and monopolize the process, that is the biggest elixir of generating enthusiasm. There are other subsets which work, but career open to talent, and this is not my original idea. Napoleon talked of it as the road to power, and how, faced with the demise of the Bourbons, he set up the Napoleonic leadership in France, which even today is one of the great examples of how you can mix democracy, autocracy, monarchy, and what have you together to deliver what is for the national good. And yet it dissolves itself when it serves its purpose. That is the message which I think needs to be given powerfully in every society.
Thank you so much. Madam Ho, would you like to give some how to have, we call engaged employee in the corporate, how we can have engaged members in the society? Members.
I was the president of Singapore Human Resources Institute for close to 16 years. Did I overstay? Well, I was the first woman president after 32 years of the institute being helmed by the males. And I was able to make it because I was given an opportunity by the men in the institute who felt that it was time for the ladies to blaze a new trail for the institute. And I remained for a good 16 years. There were good times and there were bad times. And there were times when, there was envy, jealousy. I think we all experience this kind of issues. Most of the time, we are too polite to want to talk about it. But in reality, it happens all the time. So I finally stepped down because I felt that, together with my team, my council and my secretariat, we have established the foundation, we have brought up SHRI to a level where internationally it was so recognized. And it's time for us then to build the next generation. Now, how can we get a team going? I think most of the time as leaders, we all have to understand that it is always others before self. Now, when you talk about others before self, it means to say that you have to be prepared for sacrifice. You are there because you are passionate about a certain mission that you want to carry through. And so it is not about how much have I done and what must I be given back in return, but it is more about the fact that you have been put up there and you must not fail the trust and the faith that is put on you. So very often, the driving force behind a good leader, a good institution, is because of the character of the leaders whom we have put in place. And that goes for the governing council, and that goes for members of the institution. Thank you.
Thank you very much. See, now there are people from ISTD, I was president. I have always stayed with my council member, never away from them. In one of the place, there was a very high podium for me. I came down and I said, I will sit by my people. I am also a national council member, but first among them. I am not different. So these are the things we have to practice. Reddy sir, you would like to say something?
Yeah, Dr. Yogesh, I just wanted to ask a question to all the panelists. Now, see, we say that professional bodies have to collaborate, but we find most of the professional bodies have boundaries. So they don't go beyond the boundaries, and then, they don't, how do you expect the professional bodies to collaborate when you create boundaries by yourself? This is certainly wrong, and this is not going to be a professional ethical system. So how do the panelists sort of react to this? And number two, my question to Janaka, my good friend Janaka. We have known each other for the last 17 years. I hope he remembers me anyway. So Janaka, yours is a CIPM, is a chartered body. And how do you think that code of ethics are not practiced in your association? Because this is when you are chartered, a code of ethics is always given in the charter. So how do you think that code of ethics will not work in your organization? This is the
Before I call Janaka ji, let me inform you and also the full house. Efforts are there in India also. You may be knowing ISTD, NHRD, and National Institute of Personnel Management. They have come on one platform. Now we are trying our best to have chartered status for HR profession. I think that time will come in your life. You will be able to see. Wish us good luck. I think I'll call Mr. Janaka to respond to his question.
Thank you, sir, for that question and comments. It's a pleasure to see you here. Yeah, come to the second question on the code of conduct. I think we had a code of conduct, but we are strengthening the code of conduct. Also, when you come to elections, now recently we elected a body called Election Committee consisting of senior presidents to see where at the time of elections also certain practices are affected. So it's that code of conduct is part of the constitution, not the constitution, and there is a committee who will also look into any violations. But of course, here as any organization, we can strengthen this, and there are a lot of room for improvement in this area. When I come to the first question, sorry, I missed Dr. Upadhyay.
How say, because in India we have multiple bodies for HR itself.
All right.
So we have created boundaries. So how can we boundaryless organization? We don't want to share platform.
Yeah, only thing is, one is when you talk of a profession, of course, there should be entry barriers. Otherwise, you will not be considered as a professional body where if everybody can come and go, that's not a problem. But that should be like there should be some ways to maybe assess the competencies or experience and assess. But having said that, of course, collaboration, maybe professional body to body can take place, of course, as said by Okchu and all. The leadership matters. The leader should see the big picture and see the benefit of collaborating. Where when you collaborate, there is a bigger pie for you to share rather than looking at your small area. So that's where even I think we were trying to, I can see we were trying to collaborate with different professional associations. And of course, not to say that we also had, as I said, after some time we had challenges because some members see this is not a good thing to collaborate with a lot of things. So this type of mindset comes, but ultimately the leader should show is that if you don't collaborate, you are going to die or you are not going to survive. If you want to grow in this competitive world, we have to go together, grow together. So collaboration is a must.
Thank you so much.
I hope
I think yes, thank you so much. I think lot of interaction, Madam Ho can see. We have a lot of good remarks. I'm not going to read. This we will save and post on our website, Delhi chapter website, and also we'll mail you the chat. See, my taking clue from the discussion, I made this. The real power lies in the public. Public means the member of society. And my first poll, I will just because of limitation of Zoom, I could not show you the. And these are the leadership attributes which are well researched, and it is from a paper. If I have to use, I have to cite that citation. These are the things that people do not look at these things, because leader is the driving force. The character you have spoken, that everything. If the leader doesn't have that type of attributes, I think no organization, no profession will flourish. Whether it is a corporate professional body, you can read. And these are, even though influence of mentors, I had, when I became past president, Dr. Vinay Silgotta, Dr. P.N. Singh, Sharu Rangnekar, we used to be in their company. Not a company, if you don't go in the company of wise people, if you are in the company of that, socialization theory will prevail and it will yield its results. So my recommendation is to train members to how to identify leader, because unless it is a selection, I think election, we have right to elect our leader who can give boost to who can put organization in the next orbit of the group. So thank you very much. Thank you, panelists. Thank you, madam. I know it is going to be 11 at your place. So now I will, because we wanted to have takeaways also, but I have seen the chat. Wonderful comment. And thank you very much, Madam Ho, Mr. Pokchai, Mr. Janaka. And I will not say my own because all people are mine, but my mentor, Dr. Vinay Silgotta, and all the people. And big thank you to Mr. Mukesh Jain and Simanti ji, allow me to have this type of moderation of a very powerful panel. Thank you very much. Now I will request Mr. Mukesh Jain, who has been champion, and yesterday he was in Calcutta. Today he has come here, so to say something and concluding remarks.
All is public relations anyway.
Yes.
Good evening. Namaskar. First and foremost, I will request all the participants to please put a single line, your comments in one line, how you like this powerful panel discussion by the eminent panelists. One line reaction of yours, please. Namaskar, good evening.
Before Jensa, before I will announce, next session will be on the role of secretariat, because Madam Ho, Dr. Vinay, they all talk, because they are also a very good instrument in governance. So we'll have role of secretariat because they are permanent in governance. Thank you very much.
Sure, sir, sure. So, Namaskar, good evening. I, on behalf of Management Committee of ISTD Pune Chapter and Delhi Chapter, Chairperson Pune, Dr. Simantini Bhavsar, convey our sincere thanks and gratitude to all the very highly placed panelists, Madam Ho Jiok Chu, Professor Dr. Vinashil Gautam, my mentor, Mr. Young Fook Chai, Mr. Janaka Kumar Sanghe, and a very dynamic moderator, Dr. Yogesh Kumar Upadhyay, who has conceived and organized 4th session of Good Governance series on a very relevant topic, good governance in profession. Yes, sir.
You straightway tell the word after conceived. Otherwise, people will think what he has conceived.
Good governance in professional associations, an issue and concern at national, regional, and international level. Friends, you will all agree with me that all the learned panelists who are institutional builders in their own way shared their great insights and rich experiences with us, which allowed us to learn and take away the mantras of good governance in any professional institution. I once again convey our sincere thanks to all the panelists and moderator, all the past President Emeritus, past President of ISTD, Chapter Chairperson, and NC member, our senior and member of ISTD, NIPM, NHRD, DMA, and students of various management institutes. And finally, my sincere thanks to Team Pune and Delhi chapter for making this panel discussion very successful. Wish you all a very wonderful weekdays ahead, and good night and goodbye. Namaskar.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Singapore, it must be around 10:30 this time, Singapore time. Yeah.
सबको नमस्कार और दीपावली की शुभकामनाएं सबको.
धन्यवाद आपको भी. Very happy Diwali.
Thank you, Gupta ji. Thank you.
Thank you, Jan साहब. धन्यवाद.
नमस्कार.
सर, अगर आप मुझे इजाजत दें तो एक सेंटेंस कहना चाहता हूँ. मैं वो लाइन डाल नहीं रहा था कि कोई भी वेबिनार हो, कोई फंक्शन हो, जो मॉडरेटर होता है सब वो जान होती है. So my heartiest thanks to our moderator. Excellent job done.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
This was the only line I wanted to write. Thank you so much. Bye bye.
सर, डॉक्टर उपाध्याय जो चीज हाथ में लेते हैं वो बहुत सक्सेसफुली करते हैं हमेशा.
आप देते हैं ना, आप उनको देते हैं ना इतने प्यार से, तो वो उसको निभाते हैं.
इसीलिए मैंने, that's why I have stopped him. He tells Dr. Upadhyay conceived. It may be news.
Yeah, really.
So that's it. Thank you very much. Thank you so much.
Okay, sir. Good night.
Thank you,
Bye.
thank you. Namaskar. Good night.
Happy Diwali.
My motivation was my panel.
Thank you everyone. Happy Diwali.
My audience. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Namaskar.
Thank you, madam. Thank you. I will call you.
Thank you, sir.
Namaskar.